I never imagined the day would come when I'd have to guard my own money from the people who raised me. Growing up, I believed family meant safety, that blood automatically came with protection. I was wrong. I didn't realize it back then, but the moment my mother passed away, something else quietly died with her, the balance in our family. After the funeral, people praised my strength, telling me I was mature beyond my years. What they didn't understand was that being strong became an excuse for everyone else to lean on me while giving nothing back. My father changed after she was gone. Not all at once, but gradually, like a house settling into cracks no one notices until the walls start separating. Less than a year later, he brought another woman into our lives. She was polite, smiling, always speaking gently, always calling me dear. Everyone loved her instantly. Relatives said my father deserved happiness. Neighbors praised her warmth. I stayed quiet because when you're young and grieving, silence feels safer than resistance. When I left home for service training, distance gave me clarity. For the first time, my life had rules that made sense. Effort was rewarded. Boundaries were respected. Discipline wasn't emotional, it was practical. I learned how to observe people without reacting, how to keep records, how to stay calm while others revealed themselves. At the time, I didn't know I was being trained for something much more personal. The first warning sign seemed harmless. During a video call, she casually mentioned how fortunate I was to have steady income and benefits. Her tone was light, almost proud. I nodded and changed the subject. But the comments didn't stop. They grew bolder, dressed as concern. She asked if handling money alone was stressful, suggested my father could help manage things, talked about household expenses and future planning like my income was already part of the equation. My father never stopped her. He never corrected her either. He just stayed quiet, which somehow hurt more. When I came home on leave, the house felt different. My mother's things were gone, not packed, erased. Her desk, her files, the cabinet she kept organized like her mind. When I asked about them, I was told everything had been sorted. That word echoed in my head long after the conversation ended. Then came the email. A bank security alert. Someone had tried to access my account and failed verification. When I called customer service, they asked if I had authorized anyone at my father's address to manage my finances. I hadn't. My hands didn't shake. My voice didn't rise. Instead, something inside me became very still. I went home again and said nothing. I watched. She spoke freely, talking about money like it was a shared responsibility. She joked about how families worked best when resources were pooled. She even said my income was basically family income anyway. I looked at my father. He looked away. That was the moment I stopped feeling confused and started feeling clear. I warned him once, calmly, privately. I told him my finances were not a discussion topic. I told him any further attempts to interfere would force me to respond. He told me I was overthinking, that things were complicated. Complicated is what people say when they're choosing comfort over doing what's right. The attempts didn't stop. They became quieter, smarter. A letter addressed to me arrived already opened. A credit inquiry appeared under my name. One afternoon, I found a folder in the study neatly labeled, left where anyone could see it. Inside were budget drafts and future plans, all referencing my income as a solution. One handwritten note made my stomach turn. It said, "She'll agree eventually." That night, while she talked about stress and responsibility, I realized something painful. This wasn't misunderstanding. It was entitlement. And my father wasn't unaware, he was allowing it. So I stopped reacting and started documenting. Every email, every comment, every attempt. Dates, screenshots, records. I changed passwords, froze my credit, opened new accounts, and redirected deposits. I stayed polite. That part mattered. People who think they're winning get careless. I let her believe she was close. I let uncertainty slip into my voice. She leaned in immediately, offering guidance, suggesting consolidation, pushing exactly where she wanted control. Then she made a mistake. An email meant for my father landed in my inbox. Attached was a draft loan document projecting future income. My income. That was all I needed. I agreed to a family dinner she suggested. She thought it was reconciliation. I knew it was exposure. Halfway through the meal, she brought up finances again, smiling like she always did. I placed an envelope on the table and calmly explained that multiple unauthorized attempts to access my accounts had been documented, that legal counsel was involved, that a formal file existed. The room went silent. Her confidence collapsed instantly. My father finally looked afraid, not of me, but of consequences. I wasn't there to argue. I was there to end it. Days later, we sat in a neutral office. No shouting, no drama, just facts, timelines, and signatures. I laid out my terms clearly. Written acknowledgement that all prior attempts were unauthorized, permanent confirmation that my finances were mine alone, and zero future involvement. They signed. When I walked away, I didn't feel victorious. I felt free. The silence afterward was clean. No guilt, no explanations, no carrying the weight of expectations that were never fair to begin with. I learned something important. Family doesn't mean access. Love doesn't mean entitlement. And silence is not permission. Sometimes revenge isn't about destruction. Sometimes it's about clarity, about standing firm without raising your voice, about refusing to be used ever again. And that was enough.